Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the first episode ever of All Up on My Deck. I'm Marcel, co-host of Monday Night Magic on the MTGcast.com network, where you'll find a wide variety of podcasts and videocasts, all magic related. But this is All Up on My Deck, a brilliant title given to me by my co-host Jack. Now, what All Up on My Deck is, I make an original deck built around an underutilized mechanic card or theme. I test the deck, post my results, rebuild the deck, retest the deck, rinse and repeat till either I get a refined deck or I consider it a fail. Now, I encourage feedback and will incorporate good ideas in future deck builds. All credit will be given. Stay tuned after the deck presentation for contact details and more information about All Up on My Deck. Now, let's move on to this episode's deck idea. So this week's deck idea is going to be Poison Proliferate. I'm sure a lot of people out there wanted to build a Poison Proliferate deck when you heard about these mechanics coming to Scars of Mirrodin. There are a number of infect decks out there that you can play, but most of them actually revolve around black and green and are more of an aggro version that relies on pumps to finish a person off fastly. While they are quick decks, to me they're a little too fragile and dependent on the pump spells. I wanted to build this deck because it's a little more controlish, and you can sit back and win with the Proliferate after you do some initial poison counters on an opponent. So let's move on to the cards that are in this deck. So the first card of the deck is 2 copies of Inexorable Tide. This is a beast of a Proliferate spell in that it activates for free whenever you cast a spell. The spell doesn't actually have to resolve for the ability to go off. The problem with the card is being at 5 casting costs, it doesn't do anything the turn that it comes out. And I don't know if it's going to be too slow for this deck and this build. But hopefully the reoccurring Proliferate will be powerful enough that it makes it a nice fit. We also got 2 copies of Skitharix, the Blight Dragon. Yes, he might be a little powerful for the casual room, but I think he'll be alright. I'll be casting him at 6 on a regular to get the element of surprise, and I don't want to risk removal. He should do well with this deck and finish quite a few games when he comes out. Next, I got 4 copies of Hand of Praetors. This is the Infect Lord. He has the beautiful second ability whenever you cast a creature spell, give target player a poison counter. This gives the deck additional reach, so you don't have to rely on the aggro elements to finish off the game. Next, I got 1 copy of Lux Cannon. I'm a big fan of this card. You can't beat removing permanents. Hopefully this card is not going to be too slow, and the Proliferate engine will help keep charge counters on there. But we got 1 copy to see that it fits with the deck. I want to bring it up to 2, but we'll see how it does out there on the field. Next, we got 3 copies of Jace Beleren. Yes, this could be Jace the Mind Sculptor, but I'm not going to play that in the casual room. This is not a bad replacement. It gives you a card draw every turn, and with the Proliferate engine, you don't have to worry about activating the +2 ability. So hopefully this card works well with this control deck. So next we got 4 copies of Ichor Rats. This is a staple of the Infect decks because when he comes into play, he gives each player a poison counter. So this gives the deck additional reach, not having to rely on the aggro element to finish off an opponent. This card also combos well with the 2 copies of Mimic Vat that I threw in there. Mimic Vat is one of my favorite cards, and I think it will do well with the Infect creatures. Keeping them on the board, keeping the pressure on the opponent, having them breathing down their neck, making them feel the poison counters. So also we got is 4 copies of Mana Leak. Standard counterspell. This, you can't go wrong with this. This will help with the control element. Could sit back and win some games, get some early creatures, and just finish them off under some counterspell protection. So we got Mana Leak, which should be a good fit for this deck. And next we got 3 copies of Thrumming Bird. This is a reoccurring Proliferate engine on a nice creature with Invasion. This will act to help, boost everything from either the Lux Cannon to Jace Beleren to the poison counters. So hopefully this guy comes in here and works well with this deck. Next is we got 3 copies of Doomblade. Standard removal to get anything out of your way, get rid of pestering creatures. This is your go-to spell. And it will also work well with the Mimic Vat to take away opponent's creatures that you can use for yourself. So this will go good with the control deck. Next, we got is 4 copies of Plague Stinger. This is one of the standard infect creatures that has evasion, so be able to get there early and get some poison counters on so that you can finish them off with Proliferate. Next, we got is 4 copies of Contagion Clasp. This is decent removal. It takes away the small creatures, but also gives you that reoccurring Proliferate engine for 4. So once you get some initial damage in, some poison counters in, this card will be finishing some games. It's powerful because a lot of people don't want to spend the removal or the counter spell to remove it. So it'll be getting in and sneaking in to do what you need it to do. 4 copies of Tectonic Edge to deal with all them problematic non-basic lands. Get rid of the Valdecoots and all the man lands that could do obscene damage to you. Then we got 4 copies each of Drowned Catacomb, Dark Slick Shores, and Creeping Tar Pit. This is for the dual land capabilities, so we'll have less mana problems. And the Creeping Tar Pit is in there. Yes, it doesn't work well with the Infect deck, but it takes care of Planeswalkers. So this will help do that and alleviate those Planeswalker problems that you have out there on the board. And then we got 4 copies of Swamp and 4 copies of Island. This will round off our mana base. We're running with 24 lands. Might need to be 25, but I think 24 should be good. We'll take it out there. We'll run this deck, run a few tests, see how it does, and then we'll come back and fix it. But here you go. This is Poison Proliferate for the first episode of All Up On My Deck. See ya. How All Up On My Deck will work is that each episode will be a deck build, which is the video you just watched, where I'll go over the cards and break down the strategy behind the deck. Following that will be at least 2 deck test videos, one containing footage of the deck winning, one of that losing, which will give you an idea of how the deck performs on the field. The following episode will be a continuation deck build, along with its own deck test, and I'll continue that cycle until I move to a new deck idea. I will revisit older deck ideas if new cards come out that benefit the deck or I continue to receive good feedback. Remember that deck builds are influenced by your feedback, so please send me your suggestions, opinions, card ideas, or even mistakes I'm making. I could be reached at email at alluponmydeck.com, website coming soon, or through YouTube and Twitter at alluponmydeck, and of course on mtgcast.com. So check out the deck test videos in the next episode of All Up On My Deck.